What up, what up, what up, what up? How y'all doing tonight? How y'all doing tonight, man? Happy to be here. I am happy to be here. Wednesday night, you know what it is, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's Hawks Hoops Live. I don't think I've called the show Hawks Hoops Live in a while, like at least five episodes. One-stop shop for all NBA all things NBA related, once a week, Wednesdays. Every now and then we go live more than once in a week, but you can basically almost count on 8 p.m. Wednesday live every week. Carter, what's good, man? How you doing? And since we're here plugging the show real quick, right before we get started, letting people come in, somebody asked in the Discord. Yes, we also have a Discord. The link should be in the bio. If not, the link's in the bio almost pretty much every video. It's also in my link tree, stuff like that. But in Discord, they were asking me, yo, Hawk, are we going to continue to do the lives in the off season? Because it's looking like basically low key after this weekend, one way or the other, NBA season is over. I'm doing good, Carter, man. I am doing good. It's a good day. I'm excited to watch Game 6 of the NBA Finals tomorrow. I got a lot of thoughts about Game 5. And then we're going to talk about some other things that happened in the NBA world, some trade rumors, some first take to thoughts. You know what I mean? We're just going to have a good time. This ain't going to be a crazy long live. I'm going to let y'all know that now off the rip. I'm probably about 30, 40 minutes. You know what I mean? I just want to get my thoughts out real quick. But I ain't even going to lie to y'all. I want to play Elden Ring. I switched up my build a little bit. I've been playing it a lot lately. I want to get back into it, so that's where we're going after this. Y'all gonna have to bear with me for next time. Honestly, low key, depending on how it goes, if the Warriors win on Thursday, I don't know if we're gonna do an emergency live. Actually, when is both games? Because I'm going to see the game with my boys. We're going to Buffalo Wild Wings to watch the game Thursday, so I don't think I'm gonna be able to do a live if they win. I was hoping to. But by the time I get home for Buffalo Wild Wings, I don't think anybody even gonna be up to tune into a live. Oh, okay. So if it goes to Game 7, I could probably go live after the game on Game 7. But we're gonna get hop right into it. Like I was saying, we will continue to do the lives even in the off season. We're gonna stick with the once a week. We might take a week off every now and then, maybe like 1 or 2 throughout the whole summer. But I plan on keeping it going. I got top 10, lists to drop. I got trade rumors to talk about. We're going to talk about the draft. We're going to talk about free agency. There's plenty of stuff to talk about in the world of the NBA. So I am certain we'll have some stuff to talk about and continue the show going into the off season, because I look forward to this every week. I enjoy y'all pulling up. I enjoy y'all hanging out with the kid. I look forward to this every week, literally. So we can go ahead and hop right into it. Warriors win Game 5. Steph Curry probably has one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. One of the worst playoff performances, let alone finals performances, let alone playoff performances. Just one of the worst performances I've ever seen from someone who's regarded as such a great shooter as Steph Curry. Fails to make any threes in that game. He just doesn't look like himself. But before we get into Steph, I told myself, and I almost went ahead and did it anyway, but I told myself I wanted to give Wiggins his flowers, because the title of the stream is the Boston fumbled this game, but the thumbnail calls this the Wiggins game, because that's exactly what this was. Andrew Wiggins has done everything for the Boston Celtics. Shout out to Pierre from Through the Wire, if you're a fan of Through the Wire. He said this in their latest episode the other day. I want to say it was just yesterday. He calls Wiggins their whatever you need guy. Like, you need me to go out and guard the best player? I can do that. I can go out and guard Jason Tatum. I can go out and guard Jaylen Brown. I can go out and guard Jimmy Butler. I can go out and guard Kevin Durant. Guard, I don't know how I just put him on the Boston Celtics, but guard Luka. Go out and guard Bridges. Go out and guard Booker. Like, been doing everything for for the Golden State Warriors team. We can't rebound. Everybody's saying we're getting out rebounded. All right, let me go out and get 16 rebounds. Now, last game he went out and got 13 rebounds. Steph Curry's not having a night that we know Steph Curry'd have. He can't hit a 3. Okay, let me go in and let me score. He's just doing whatever you need. Yeah, exactly, Carter. Wiggins is whatever you need guy. He's doing exactly what the Warriors need for him to do. I'm loving what I'm seeing from him. And it's funny because for years, so many people called Wiggins a bust. So many people called Wiggins not that guy. And I agree. I don't think he ever was meant to be, quote unquote, that guy. But I also don't think Wiggins is a bust. Wiggins is a really, really good NBA player. He was an all-star this year, all-star starter this year. I don't know how many more all-stars he's going to get in his future. I'll be completely honest with you when other forwards in the Western Conference are healthy. But he's a starter you want on your team because he's going to contribute to winning basketball if you put him in the right situation. And the Warriors have done that. They put him in the right spot, and he's looking phenomenal for the Golden State Warriors. Absolutely phenomenal. Another thing about Wiggins, he didn't shoot well at all. I mean, like from three. He didn't make a three in this game, but he had 26 points, 13 rebounds, and he got to the rim consistently. He was really active in the first half. I want to say he had 16 points in the first half. Didn't score at all, I want to say, in the third. But then in the fourth quarter, when the Boston Celtics were making the game close, when the Warriors needed some more buckets, some more production, he gave them 10 solid points in the fourth quarter, getting to the rim, hitting a couple of those mid-range fades that he still likes to go to every now and then. But what I like the most about this version of Andrew Wiggins is those mid-range fadeaways, those one dribble, two dribble pull-ups that he likes to do in the mid-range. Back in his Timberwolves days, he was doing that possession after possession after possession after possession. Now, he only does it when he needs to. He makes a lot of smart basketball plays, getting to the rim, smart cuts, easy baskets, and then every now and then he still has the ability to pull up for a contested mid-range jumper, which he did for the Golden State Warriors in Game 5. Carter asks, who do you want to win the finals? So it's funny, I'm conflicted. I've been telling my wife this. My basketball prediction, and me just looking at the game objectively, because I'm a Sixers fan. So me just looking at the game objectively, my prediction was Warriors in 6. But because I don't have a dog in the fight, I don't have a team that I'm really rooting for here. I was rooting for the underdog, and to me, the Boston Celtics are the underdog. So I want Boston to win. They've making some mistakes through the course of this series that I don't like to see from them. I mean, they're still in it. Don't get me wrong. It's only 3-2. Nothing's impossible. But Boston, to me, is the underdog who I want to win. But I guess you say my analyst, my basketball opinion is Warriors in 6. Just because I feel like they're the underdogs. Some more stuff about the Warriors to this game. I just want to give people their flowers because, like I said, Steph Curry was having a bad game, but other people stepped up. Oh, let me do this real quick. Give me half a second, y'all. I forgot to share the link into the Discord. I usually let everybody in the Discord know when I'm live, and I forgot to do that. Everyone. Dang, can I type? Can I type? Everyone, paste. Oh, did it not copy? Copy video link. My fault, y'all. Now Discord don't want to work. Okay. All right. Okay. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is one another thing that I liked from this Game 5 is that we finally had a solid game from Klay Thompson. Now, Klay didn't go crazy. I don't think, and people are having the conversations, are we going to see a Game 6 Klay? I don't think we're going to see Game 6 Klay in the traditional sense that we're used to, because Game 6 Klay in the traditional sense that we're used to was 37 points, 35 points, 40-point game from Klay Thompson. I don't think we're going to get that. But what I would love to get, and what I think we will get, is hopefully another game like this. In Game 5, Klay Thompson had 21 points. He was 5 for 11 from 3. That's a really big game for Klay, considering, at least in my mind, that to an extent he hasn't looked like, and I've said this before, so I don't feel crazy saying it, he still, to me, doesn't look like Klay Thompson. So, and what I mean by that is the Klay Thompson from 2 years ago, but in the same breath, I don't know if it's fair to expect that out of him. The ACL injury, the Achilles tear, he's just been through a lot. And to an extent, I know he came back this season, but he still came back mid-season. He still might not fully have his confidence in himself all the way. I know, especially defensively, he doesn't necessarily look how he normally looks, but I'm still liking what I'm seeing from him nonetheless. All right, now I can actually focus. I was able to pop that in the Discord. And Klay Thompson, a big thing about Klay Thompson to me because down the stretch, he had 2 big threes in the fourth quarter, one of which was around the 9-minute mark. Marcus Smart, please stop flopping, bro. Please, please, please stop flopping. I wish I had saved that clip and have it up so I can pull it up for you guys, but I don't, so I apologize. Like 9 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Klay Thompson, I want to say, is on a fast break, or he's coming off of a dribble handoff. He gets the ball on the left wing, stops, does a nice little snatch back. Marcus Smart flops and flies. I mean, he's basically almost at the baseline now just from a step back. You could make the argument potentially that there was a slight, and I mean slight push off, but Marcus Smart was flopping, hunting for the offensive foul. And Klay Thompson hits a really big timely three. And I say that was a timely three because that was at a point when Boston was just coming off of their amazing third quarter run. We're starting to slow down in the beginning of the fourth, struggling to score, and you're letting Boston starting to get into momentum and hit some threes. And that was a really big momentum switch for the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion. And mainly because Marcus Smart flopped. He did not need to flop on that. In my mind, he could have stayed with Klay and at least contested the shot, or at least deterred from him taking the shot altogether. And I can think of a couple times in these playoffs so far throughout this playoff run on Marcus Smart as, I'll say, flopped to try to make a defensive play or try to draw a foul, and then went the other way. Now, granted, so far it's working for them because they find themselves only down 1 game in the NBA Finals. But I remember against the Bucks, he did that. I want to say he flopped, and then Drew stole the ball from him, and then the Bucks ended up winning that game. I mean, they handled the Bucks, so kudos to them. I remember a moment where he flopped in the Miami Heat series, but they handled the Miami Heat, so kudos to them. So I get it. Carter, no problem, man. See you later. Thanks for pulling up to the stream, bro. But for the most part, I like what I'm seeing from Marcus Smart, and I didn't mean it. I have some notes about him later on that I'm going to go over. I didn't mean to get in that much of a tangent about him. I just wish he'd stop flopping. He's been flopping a lot lately, and I wish he would stop. The quick notes on Draymond Green. I didn't write down his box score. To me, sometimes writing down Draymond Green's box score doesn't necessarily show you the full impact of his game, unless it's absolutely like crazy. But if it's like a nice little triple single, 8 points, I want to say 8 points. I saw some rebounds, I saw some assists, but he felt like he was playing better. I saw better defense out of him. I saw better passing out of him. I saw just better basketball decisions out of him, but somehow he still manages to foul out. I guess that's just Dre, my man. Yeah, I'll take it. Now let's talk about Steph. Steph had 16 points. He was 7 for 22 from the field. That's 31%. And he did not make a 3-point field goal. I can't remember how many threes he took. This is his first time missing a 3-pointer in 233 straight games. That's including regular season and postseason. And he had 132 career playoff games in a row that he made a 3-pointer in. Which is crazy. It's an absolutely crazy stat. Am I like taking finals MVP away from Steph Curry because he had a terrible game? I'm not even gonna say terrible game, since he had a bad shooting game, because other aspects of his game weren't bad. He just could not shoot the ball at all. Am I taking the finals MVP away from him because of that? No. Am I giving it to Wiggins because Wiggins had a really great game and when Steph failed to have a good game? No. Before this, Steph was averaging, I want to say it was like 35 a game on some crazy good efficiencies. In my mind, still, I expect Steph to bounce back and have an amazing game 6. If it goes to 7, I expect him to have an amazing game 7. To me, he's still number 1 on the MVP ladder in terms of that finals MVP. But it is crazy, and it was crazy to watch. And you can tell towards the end of the game, especially in the fourth, when the game was kind of decided, the Warriors had a lead, Boston wasn't making anything, couldn't get a bucket, and you saw Steph, I won't say he was 3-point hunting, but you could tell he wanted a 3-point shot to go in, which I ain't mad at him. And then you seen it in his face afterwards. He wasn't bummed, I don't think, at least. Like, it's dope to keep that type of record afloat and keep it going. But he was happy the team won, because at the end of the day, he's trying to win a championship. But I also think in the back of his mind, he was like, dang, bro, I couldn't hit one. All right. On to the Boston Celtics. You see it in the title. Golden State did a lot of things well in this game. Like I said, shout out to Andrew Wiggins, shout out to Klay Thompson, shout out to the other guys to step up huge when Steph Curry has a subpar game. But at the end of the day, Boston fumbled this game. At the end of the day, this is more so of Boston losing than the Warriors winning, at least in my mind. Boston beat themselves in this game. You're down, I have it written right here. You're down at the halftime 39-51 because you already can't really get it going, which was blowing my mind. Watching Steph having the game he was having, but still watching Boston have the game they were having made absolutely no sense to me. Then Boston goes on this great third quarter run, and then the end of the third quarter it turns into 74-75. Now they're only down one. Boston basically has a Warriors third quarter and then can't capitalize in it going into the fourth. In the fourth quarter, Jason Tatum was 1 for 5 with 1 turnover. Jaylen Brown was 1 for 4 with 2 turnovers. They could not score at all in the fourth. To me, if you just take out the rest of, because there was a lot of stuff that went wrong with the rest of the game that we're going to talk about as well. But in that fourth quarter specifically, they could not score. And you can say, I hear you say Boston versus refs. To me, that's not it. Boston versus refs is not it, bro. It's to me, at least, it's not it. Has the reffing been bad in some of this series? Yes. Also, appreciate you pulling up, and has the reffing been amazing in this series? No. There's been times on both sides where they miss a call for the Warriors, they miss a call for Boston, vice versa. Draymond fouls out of the game. It's been just, to me at least, it's been some missed calls across the board. It's been bad officiating across the board. But at the same time, it hasn't been bad enough to, at least in my mind, that's been the reason any of these games have been won or lost. You don't want to know, to me, and then what lost Boston this game? Boston had 18 turnovers, allowing Golden State to score 22 points. I want to say the Warriors only had pulled up earlier, like 6 turnovers. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Boston also, so turnovers was a huge thing. Way too many turnovers. You can't get your offense going. You're going to allow Golden State to get up and down, running into space, and which is crazy. If Steph was shooting well, that number could have been even crazier in terms of how many points that the Golden State Warriors scored off of Boston's turnovers. Also, points in the paint was huge. Boston scored 36 points in the paint. Golden State scored 50. You're not going to win a game if you allow your opponent to score 50 points in the paint and you only score 36. And which is wild, because then I'm going to look and I'm like, well, did Boston get out rebounded in game 5? No, Boston won the rebounding battle. I don't know if the rim protection wasn't there. I don't know what was going on in terms of the holistic piece of it. Some of that was just the fast break points and scoring in transition. And then some of it, a lot of it, at least in my mind, especially in that fourth quarter, Boston just stopped going to the paint. Boston does this thing where, and I've noticed it a lot, especially, obviously I'm going to notice it more in the games that they lose than the games that they win. Boston does this thing where Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown could be killing it in the first, second, third quarters, whatever. The pick and roll is working for them. They're hunting Steph Curry and it's working, and they keep going at Steph. And then for some reason in the fourth quarter, they just stop it. They just stop what was working and start to go into some heavy ISO ball. I don't know if I don't know if you can put that on coaching. I don't know if you can put that on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to be leaders and realize that maybe in this moment, ISO ball isn't what we need, and that we need to go back to the pick and roll. We need to go back to hunting Steph. But for them to lose this game, this was a game you need to win. This was probably the worst game you're going to see out of Steph Curry. And I expect him to bounce back huge in game 6 in Boston. I really, really do. So for me, if I'm the Boston Celtics, there's a couple of things that I think they need to tweak. Because game 6 is a must-win game, obviously. Obviously, we all, I feel like, can agree that game 6 is a must-win game. So for me, if I'm the Boston Celtics, I'm hunting Curry throughout the game. Those moments when you see pick and rolls working and they get Curry on the switch and they attack him and they score and then they stop, I'm hunting him throughout the game. I'm deciding often and early to try to get to the basket and not settle for threes. I'm not settling for Al Horford threes. I'm not settling for Derek White threes. Now, if that's the right pay, if that's the right pass, if that's the right move, if that's the right thing to do, then sure. If they're open, shoot it. I hope you make it. But if I'm Jaylen Brown and I'm Jason Tatum, both of them, or not, if at least one of them, have to be determined to get to the basket, get to the rim, and have a big game. And you also have to take care of the ball. Too many times I saw Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown getting double teamed. It might be sounding like I'm being a broken record, because I was just about to say getting double teamed, trying to do too much. Because I see them attacking 2-on-1, attacking the double team, trying to just do a lot. And their Warriors are forcing turnovers and getting out and running. Boston, you got to take care of the ball. Boston, you got to get in the paint. The defense is solid. Defensively, I don't necessarily think it's much more you can... Never mind. The one big thing, stop doing that drop coverage. At the times when you guys do drop coverage, Steph Curry torches you. When you don't do drop coverage, you play better defense and he doesn't torture you as much. Just stop the drop coverage and defense is fine. I just think offensively, you got to take care of the ball more and you got to get into the paint. I haven't seen... When I've seen them attack the basket, they look good. When I see them set up for jump shots, they look bad. If they continue to attack the basket, they'll be fine. Overall, because I want to move on from this series and talk about it like a couple more things before we get up out of here. Overall for this series, I picked going into it, I said Warriors in 6. I'll be honest, I'm sticking with Warriors in 6. Can Boston win at home? Yes, they can. But considering the game that Steph Curry just had, considering guys like Draymond and Clay, and I think just the Warriors organization as a whole is not going to underestimate this Boston team. They're going to want to win game 6. I don't think they're going to want it. No one wants to go to game 7. So if you have the opportunity to close it out, even if it's not at home, I think you're going to play your best game to close it out. I think there's more pressure on Boston than there is on the Warriors. And we'll just see. Pressure builds diamonds or pressure bursts pipes. We'll see who the Boston Celtics are. All right. A couple of other news around the league real quick. Like I told y'all, we was going to do a shorter stream than usual. Some things around the league that I thought were interesting. I'm just scrolling out NBA Central if you're curious. Actually, matter of fact, y'all can... Boop. Scroll with me just real quick. The Detroit Pistons are widely expected to trade Jeremy Grant. That makes perfect sense to me. I've seen some trades of him going to teams like the Portland Trail Blazers. I don't necessarily know how that one doesn't make as much sense to me. But I know there's a lot of teams that's interested in a guy like Jeremy Grant. And I would love to see him go to a couple of different teams and help them out. I think he could be a big addition on a lot of teams. His defense is nice. I saw a lot of Nuggets talks about the Nuggets getting him. That's the team I was trying to think of. Saw a lot of Nuggets talk for Jeremy Grant. I think it's a good pickup. I would love to see him go somewhere else because I think he's a player who can bring some really good wing defense, bring some scoring. You know what I mean? I don't think he's going to score at the clip that we've seen these last couple of years because right now the Pistons, especially before Gade got there, he was the #1 guy. I think on a playoff team, a potentially contending team, he's not going to be the #1 guy. But I think he's going to be solid. Like, I think he could potentially be an elevated version of what Andrew Wiggins is doing for the Golden State Warriors, or at least what Andrew Wiggins is doing for the Golden State Warriors. And that's great. The Philadelphia 76ers are gauging interest in Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, Shake Milton, Furkan Korkmaz, Danny Green, and the 23rd pick per Pompey. I'm not mad at this. The Sixers realize they got to make some changes. I mean, as a Sixers fan, some of these guys I'd hate to see gone, like Matisse. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Shake. But also, at the end of the day, all these guys are 100% expendable. And if you can flip it into something good, go for it. What that looks like, I don't know. A lot of whatever this trade package potentially would be, I think, depends on what type of deal you sign James Harden to. Stephen A. Smith, this is something I wanted to talk about. Stephen A. Smith says, I'd take Anthony Davis over Luka. I'd take Anthony Davis over Jokic. I haven't had the opportunity to look at this all the way. I saw the clip. I don't know if we're going to watch the full 2 minutes. I saw like a 2-minute clip that First Take's Twitter account tweeted out. Let me pull it up. me get my headphones right real quick. Pause the music. Let me see here.
Let me put myself on blast. JJ Redick, remember, the caveat is when healthy.
Sons Geek, what's up, man?
Healthy,
how you doing?
Okay, so we're talking about...
So let me give a little backstory for this before I let this whole thing play. They're on First Take. They were talking about Anthony Davis. As you can see the bottom conversation, they're saying is Anthony Davis is a top 7 player when healthy. My biggest thing, Sons Geek says, Stephen A. Smith and most of the ESPN national media get paid to say clickbaity things. It's annoying. It is annoying, but also from the little bit I saw at the end of it, I agreed with him to an extent. I'll explain why. But I also just want to say to start, the thing that sucks about Anthony Davis the most is that you have to have the caveat with almost any and every Anthony Davis conversation. You have to say, when healthy, when healthy, when healthy. It just sucks. Serge, my man, what's good with you? What up, man? Sorry I'm late. What are you talking about? Hey, man, no problem for being late. I appreciate you for pulling up. You feel me? We just finished covering some things about Game 5. If you're interested, go back and rewatch it. I gave some previews and some thoughts of Game 6. And now I'm just scrolling through NBA Central. I saw a couple of things on there that I did really like. And my Wi-Fi just cut out. Are we back? All right, it looks like we're back. My Wi-Fi had cut out for a second, which was crazy. I didn't even realize it. We talked about Game 5, gave you a preview for Game 6. Now we're scrolling through NBA Central to talk about some just trade rumors and stuff like that. And this came up. I wanted to talk about it. Yeah, my fault. It just was a random lag spike on my end. Looked like Wi-Fi cut out for a second, but now it's back. So I'm curious what Anthony Davis has to say about this. I mean, Stephen A. has to say about Anthony Davis.
A healthy Anthony Davis, which is a rarity, because I got news for you. I'd pick every single player over Anthony Davis right now that you mentioned strictly because of their reliability, the fact that they're healthy. So, again, we're not talking injuries now. Amari, you're my witness.
Okay, so healthy Anthony Davis. Let's see what he has to say.
Every single player JJ Redick mentioned is more reliable than Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is hurt.
Hey, rewatching afterwards. Appreciate that, Serge.
We're only talking skill. What you do on the basketball court when you're healthy. JJ Redick, are you ready for this?
That's such a tough conversation. That's such a tough conversation to have when you're talking about when people say, just skill, what you do on the basketball court when you're healthy. Because sometimes it's hard to differentiate. At least for me, it's hard to differentiate or find value in the conversation of a player's skill just out and remove a player's production. Because you can be crazy skilled, but if you don't produce anything, if it doesn't lead to wins, if it doesn't lead to numbers, if it doesn't lead to anything tangible, what does it really mean? What does it really matter? So already just saying healthy and Anthony Davis and breaking up guys like, I wouldn't say he mentions Luka, he mentions Jokic. I don't know.
Take Anthony Davis over Luka. I'd take Anthony Davis over Jokic. Yes, I would. And let me go a step further. Let me go a step further. And I know he can't. I know how great Jokic is in terms of his passing ability, his playmaking ability. The brother can't jump onto a curb for crying out loud, and no one can stop him. It makes no sense. I can't. It's hard. It's unbelievable. Jokic is unbelievable. But I'm saying this to you. I take him over Luka. I take him over Jokic, and as much love and respect and reverence as I have for Jimmy Butler and Jason Tatum and how big time I believe both of them are, I take a healthy Anthony Davis over them too. Because guess what, JJ, and I understand that you don't know this because, obviously, shooting was your...
See, the wildest part about this, and I think he just continues to go on and talk about... he kind of just continues his point. But the craziest thing about this and the wildest thing about that is, for me, is, like I said, you can't just take away production when saying who's a better player or who you take over somebody else. To me, it doesn't feel fair. It doesn't seem fair to only talk about skills, because at the end of the day, to an extent, at least to me, based on the conversations I've heard people talk about skills this past season, when the conversation of KD and Kyrie being the two of the most skilled players of all time, the best skilled duo of all time, and I'm not even saying they aren't skilled or shouldn't be ranking amongst that category of conversation. But when you get into talking about ranking skilled players, to me, at the end of the day, it's all subjective. But I like to include production and what a player actually brings to the NBA court production-wise. Wins, playoff appearances, how do you perform in the playoffs, accolades, things like that. And so to say you're taking Anthony Davis over someone who's a 2-time Finals MVP, to say you're taking Anthony Davis over someone who by himself as the only all-star on that team, and Luka has taken his team further than Anthony Davis has taken his teams when he was the only guy on that team. I don't know, Stephen A, because a lot of people are having a conversation that Luka's top 3 in the league, at least currently. So, and to say you take him over the guy who just won MVP, I like Anthony Davis. I don't want this to seem like a slight to Anthony Davis. I was actually one of the few people who defended him when that clip went viral a couple of days ago of him saying he hasn't touched a basketball since April 5th. Internet went crazy. And I was basically saying, he's probably still working out. He just said he hasn't touched a basketball. And then ironically, 2 days later, he has a picture with Lethal Shooter saying, they went through a little workout, the ball was in his hand, yada, yada. So it looks like Anthony Davis getting back to touching the basketball. And I saw people's points. I got it. After I made that TikTok, a lot of people were telling me like, well, when you're a guy like Anthony Davis who has been injured in his last couple of seasons, maybe it's time to switch up your routine. Maybe it's trying to change up your routine because injuries have been something you struggled with throughout your career. And I don't think, like I said, this is just from me, a guy with a mic. From what I can tell, from when he talked about his routine from a clip a year ago, it's not like he's just completely taking time off and his body's not working and his body's not moving. He just said he doesn't necessarily incorporate basketball workouts. But Anthony Davis also shot horrible this year, one of his worst shooting years in his career. So maybe he does need to switch up routine and, get back at it sooner rather than later. And I'm not mad at him. I just feel like the internet bullied him and I thought it was funny. AD's an incredible player, but he's not better than those guys. Serge, I agree with you. All right, let's go back to NBA Central real quick, see what else is on here. There's a couple of more things on here I did notice that I wanted to talk about real quick. That was the Anthony Davis thing. Utah Jazz reportedly wants an a star caliber player, a young prospect, and picks in the trade for Rudy Gobert. And I want to scroll down real quick because I saw this. So the Hawks could trade some combination of Clint Capella, John Collins, Kevin Huerter, and a pick for Rudy. I think that would make a lot of sense. On paper, you might think I'm crazy, but I think Rudy's worth it. One, you're going to have to do it kind of sort of just because Rudy's contract, you got to make the money match. So it's going to be a one player for a couple of players type of deal. Whether or not you agree with those type of things, that's just the type of deal it's going to have to be to make the money work. Then we're talking about the caliber of players the Utah Jazz would receive. I think they should be able to get some solid players for Rudy. I think on the right team, and shout out to my man John on Twitter, he had tweeted this. I can't find it. Dang it. I ain't gonna be able to find his tweet, I don't think. But shout out to my man John. He basically said what we're seeing out of Robert Williams and why we love Robert Williams so much is exactly, if not more, what we could get out of Rudy Gobert if he just had a couple of competent defenders around him. Robert Williams is looking like an all-NBA caliber defender, but he also has the defensive player of the year at the point of attack. He also has Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the wings. He has guys who can already do a great job of containing their man to the best of their ability, to a great ability, and then be there for some amazing help defense, be there to, be the stopgap when they do happen to get to the rim. With Rudy and the Jazz, guys are getting to the rim almost every other possession. So I think Rudy, my point is, I think Rudy is worth it. I think Rudy is worth trading for if you have the right team already in place. If you have some at least competent perimeter defenders. The Utah Jazz didn't have competent defenders. Now, all that being said, I don't love this trade for the Atlanta Hawks. On paper, I think a lot of people initially would say, oh, this makes sense. The Hawks need defense. The Hawks need a defensive-minded center. Go out and get Rudy Gobert. But you're going to be in the exact same place the Utah Jazz have been in the last 2.5, 3 years. Where you have, in the regular season, you probably have a top half of the league defense. Heck, you might even have a top 10 defense. That's how great of a defender Rudy Gobert is. But if you don't have any perimeter defense around him, when the game slows down in the playoffs, you're going to see them exploited, just like you've been seeing everybody exploit the Utah Jazz in the last 2 years. So on paper, yeah. Would it be dope? Yeah. I don't want to see it, though. I don't want to see Rudy on the Hawks unless they find a way to get some other competent defenders, at least on the wing. I'm not asking for elite guys. I'm not asking for all NBA type defenders. I'm not asking for guys who might even get a vote to make the team and just be an honorable mention for the all NBA team. I'm just asking for some competent defenders who at least give me some effort. Is that too much to ask for? Ninja says, I said this many times in the cord, this would be a bad trade for the Hawks. Ninja, you have been saying that. And at first I wasn't necessarily, when you first said it, I don't think I agreed with you at first. I was like, oh, I like this trade. And then after I sat with it for a while, I was like, wait a minute. And I looked at who they'd be giving up. I looked at what their roster might look like as after the trade. I was like, it's going to be just like how the Hawks, it's going to be just like how the Jazz situation is. All right, let me scroll back up because there's one thing I missed. Floyd said he's working on an NBA team. It's funny because LeBron said that the other day on his barbershop show, and he said he wants a team in Vegas. I'm only mad at seeing Floyd and LeBron partner up to own the team. Zach LaVine expected to re-sign with the Chicago Bulls. That's huge. I'm not even really a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm not a Zach fan. I'm not a DeMar fan. Like, I mean, I like those guys, but I wouldn't consider myself a fan of them. But that's huge for the Bulls because for me, I wanted him to stay here. I wanted the Bulls to have an opportunity to build something. I think Zach LaVine, part of this is a money decision. The Bulls can give him the most money. So go ahead and pay me. And then let's go from there and see how we can make something work. I like that a lot, though. I saw this and I was very confused. Western Conference executive praises THT. This is from LakersDaily.com. Every season he's been in the league, there's been COVID and the bubble and something that's gotten in the way of him making steps. But I think most of us would take him on our team in a minute. I'm gonna tell you right now, if somehow the Lakers manage to get some amazing trade and THT is a centerpiece of some amazing blockbuster trade, I'm gonna lose my mind. I don't really think any executive is really saying this or willing to give up something crazy around a trade centered around THT. That's just my opinion. And then this talking about Wiggins' game. I want to say that might have been everything. So Phoenix is increasingly expected to engage in a serious sign and trade talks centered around DeAndre Ayton. I've seen a couple of these. The one, and I think we talked about it last week, that makes the most sense to me is a sign and trade for Nikola Vucevic, or excuse me, Yusuf Nurkic from the Portland Trailblazers. They probably can get him under that 30 mil that they said they doesn't look like they wanted to play. 30 mil a year. They could probably get him under that. I would love to see a Blazers team with a defensive, or at least an upgrade in the defensive category, and the defensive minded center to Ayton, offensively minded center in Ayton. And I think an Ayton pick and roll with DeAndre Ayton and Damian Lillard would be actually really good. And then you have the opportunity, some flexibility, just a little bit, to go ahead and flesh out that roster a little bit more. I'd like to see that a lot. And because I think he's a little bit more mobile and can, to an extent, create some of his own offense when he's aggressive in the paint. Ninja says the Hawks are playmaking. Oh yeah, I remember you said this before. I don't necessarily agree. That's the part I don't think I agreed with. You say the Hawks are a playmaking and shooting three type team, hardly contested. Wait, the center or the defense while being a playmaker for Rudy. I wouldn't necessarily consider the Hawks' current center, or how they operate now with their center being a playmaker. John Collins makes some smart passes every now and then outside of the pick and roll, but I wouldn't necessarily consider their system super reliant on the center being able to make passes. That's just my thought. Let me see. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what I want. And I think that was everything. D'Lo's being shopped around by Minnesota Timberwolves. Honestly, I'm happy to see this. I think what we've seen out of the playoffs from Anthony Edwards, what we've seen throughout the regular season from Anthony Edwards, especially the playoffs, is that I think he has enough offense to make up for whatever D'Lo would bring. Like, if they swapped out D'Lo for a more defensive-minded, playmaking-minded point guard that might not give you as much in scoring as he could, I think Karl-Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards can make up some of that offense, but the rest of the team would benefit from a slightly better playmaker. I'm not calling D'Angelo Russell a bad playmaker, but I'm saying he's more of a scoring point guard. I think they could benefit from a playmaking defensive point guard. Like, give them... Like, you put DeJounte Murray on this team, I think they have a higher ceiling. DeJounte Murray can score, but he's also a way better defender and a solid playmaker. That caliber of point guard would look great here instead of D'Angelo Russell. Just my 2 cents. We talked about John Collins being moved. This was interesting. I think this might be the last thing before we head up out of here. Several execs and sources close to the Lakers believe that the team is operating as if Russell was on the roster next season. Once again, from Lakers Daily. I saw a lot of people saying this on Twitter, especially in a conversation when people were saying, I want to say it was Stephen A, basically making comments on not understanding why Russell Westbrook was at Darvin Ham's press conference and why Darvin Ham, or at least surprised to see Darvin Ham talking about Russ and talking about what they're going to do with Russ, and at least seeming optimistic that he's at least going to still be here next season. Newsflash, guys, until he's traded, he is here next season. Until he is gone, you have to act like he is here next season. So Russ is going to show up to stuff. Coaching staff is going to include him in things. They're going to plan for him to be here next season. That's just called being a professional. Now, if the GMs, if the executive make some moves, sure. But for me, in my mind, it makes sense to treat Russ like he's still going to be here. Because I'll be honest with you, I think he is going to be here. I don't see a world where Russ gets traded. If Russ gets traded, to me at least, it's just for John Wall. And that's not a bad trade. I just don't know if that's the trade you want. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't know what John Wall looks like. When's the last time you saw John Wall? 2 years ago? I have no idea what version of John Wall you're going to get. Absolutely no idea. They could trade for John Wall and find out he was worse than Russell Westbrook was this year. We don't know. Serge says, man, I love Russ so much. I hope he gets back to his form somewhere else. And I mean, if that's the case, if he can get back somewhere else, sure. But I at least expect Russ to play better next season. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what caliber of better we're going to get from him, but I expect to see Russ play better next year, because what we saw this year was uncharacteristic. Jimmy and Donovan Mitchell hanging out together. We talked about Anthony Davis, updated stuff. All right, yeah. Ninja says, whenever I see them play, I guess talk about the Hawks, he said it's playmaking and threes. I mean, yeah, they play make a lot and they shoot a lot of threes. I'm not disagreeing with you there. I just don't necessarily think their center has to also partake in that a ton for them to continue being a good team. That's just my 2 cents. But like I told y'all at the beginning of the show, and it wasn't going to be a long one. If you made it this far, I do appreciate you. What do YouTubers be saying? Leave a like on the video. If you're new, subscribe to the channel. Once again, if you're new and you're seeing this, we do go live every Wednesdays at 8 p.m. We should be live next week. There's a potential chance we won't be live next week. But if the game goes to game 7, we'll probably be live Sunday night after game 7, if it goes to game 7, because I'm not doing anything Monday. So I could be up late hanging out. Serge says, did you see about Nikola Jovic, a prospect from Serbia? I heard his name. I'll be honest with you, Serge, I'm not a huge draft guy. So I don't always keep up with the prospects. I have heard some good things about him. I was listening to The Mismatch podcast with Kevin O'Connor and Steve Vernon, Chris Vernon. They were talking about him. They said some good things. I have to look him up. I gotta look him up, but I've heard some good things. And it's funny, when I heard his name, I did think about you, Serge. But me neither, but he's from our country, so I know about it. Exactly. That's why I thought about it, because I know he's from your country. Once again, Serge, shout out to you for pulling up. Yeah, I know it's like 3 a.m. there right now. But I will see you guys next week. I'm supposed to be making a Q&A. I have the questions from the Discord. I'll be honest, it's not recorded yet. So if you have a couple of more takes, there's still time to get them in if you want to get them into this latest Q&A. Discord, the link is in my bios to join the Discord. There's a channel in it for hot takes and questions. That's where I pull the stuff from for the hot take videos. I'm actually even going to start pulling some stuff from there for TikToks, like specific, like replying to it on TikTok. You know, I can reply to a comment, but instead I'm going to reply to you guys on Discord, because I appreciate y'all for pulling up in the Discord and asking, answering questions, yada yada, sharing hot takes. I feel like I'm rambling. I'm gonna head up out of here. I'll catch y'all next week. I'm out. Peace.